Ladies and gentlemen, welcome again to our industry analysis. Today, we are going to discuss the specific sector property urban development, which is the hottest sector in 2013 in Jakarta Stock Exchange. Property urban development has taken a lead for a year, 12 months as a top gainer in the Jakarta Stock Exchange. So next we would like to see the profile, index profile for the property urban development. You see in this chart, the chart is going up quite high. The uptrend is continue. So property and urban development in Jakarta Stock Exchange terms is construction and property. The growth above 70% in the last 6 months. You see, it's very promising, the 70%. While the other sector grow only around 20 to 40%. So the sector is a hot industry and prima donna. The sector consists of several companies ranging from the smallest asset value of 160 billion rupiah and the largest asset up to 24 trillion rupiah. Next, we see the sector members. In this chart, we display you based on the asset ranking from above 5 trillion up to below 25 trillion. So you see big caps of the property and then urban development sector. If we learn very carefully, no matter or despite the high asset company is not necessarily good. We can check the first one, the Lippo Karawaci. You see the return on asset is only 5%, and then return on equity is 12%. I think both financial ratio is below market standard. Even though the market cap is the largest, the asset is the largest, as well as the revenue, but the earning after tax is not the largest. If we check from this list, the ASRI, Alam Sutra Realty, which is the town city development, you see the return on asset in this list is the biggest, 13%, and the return on equity is 32%, is above average. And this is the last performance. Well, actually the company is maintaining the uptrend growth for several items, several financial parameters like financial ratio. Next, you can see the PWN, Pakuan Jati, and then BSDE, which is the Bumi Serpong Damai, is considered the next largest return on asset and return on equity. Like we see the BSDE return on equity 16% and PWON 24%, with the return asset 10% and 9% for the BSDE. Lippo Karawaci appear the largest asset, but you see the performance, the return on asset is not is very low, meaning the company is unable to utilize such amount of asset to produce productivity or earning after tax. If we see in this list, the worst performance is LT, which is Bakri Development. You see earning after tax running negative, as well as free cash flow, and then also working capital running negative. That's why return on asset and return on equity is negative, and the market cap is the lowest among those lists, among the company in the list. So next list would be the we we can tell this is the medium or the second liner of the property and urban development. You see the best company in terms of return on asset and return on equity is the stock code BEFT, or Bekasi Fajar Industrial Estate. The return on equity is quite good, is 35%, as well as return on asset also above 20%. Next one followed by GWSA, Greenwood Sejahtera. Is it yeah, this area development or a block, super block development, real estate, and etc. The worst is being SCBD. It is a super block developer, and then the ART, which is Utangata Realty. You see the return on asset is small, is 2% and 4%, and then return on equity also below 10%. You see the lowest return on equity and return on asset is Nirvana Development. It is the development of the hotel and boutique hotel. And then the smallest profit is the MNC Land. Is it only the profit? No, the profit is still the lowest is the Nirvana Development. If we comparing the asset between MNC Land and Nirvana is about the same, but the profit, the net after tax, MNC Land is a little larger, even though revenue is much lower than Nirvana Development. This is if we evaluate those two companies, MNC Land and Nirvana Development, we prefer the MNC Land in terms of ability to produce income, which is 146 compared to Nirvana only 25. If we are looking for the revenue, also a big difference. But if we are looking at how they utilize the asset is the same as about 2.7 trillion rupiah, and then Nirvana Development produce much low or much less income after tax. So next we can consider the third level, even though the second level that we see in this chart is some of them is quite speculative. The next one is the small cap of the sector is below 1 trillion. The largest being the Goa Makassar is 900 billion rupiah in asset. So we see the metropolitan development, Pancawira Tamasakti, and the worst is Puanatala in Permai. The problem is, of course, they're running losses, quite big losses compared to the asset, and of course the return on asset and return on equity would be negative. The next one, the worst, is Laguna Cipta Gria. So they also running the negative or making losses in the operation. So we see that is those two companies in the small cap, they usually a property development of the real estate, and then they are making losses. They are not quite developed, and they are facing a bankruptcy. They're running out of money. So you see, in the small cap, most of them having, I think not most, but half of them having the negative working capital, compared to second line, the only 3 out of, let's say, 20, less than 20, having the negative working capital. But if we see the 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 highest or the big cap also, the 3 company running the negative working capital. So next we would like to show you the macroeconomy of the industry, uh, how macroeconomy affect such a sector, property and urban development. The left hand, the left hand above, you see the Indonesian government bond yield is keep decreasing over time from 2009 until today. So the trend is decreasing, which is good, because bank will provide the lower interest rate for the mortgage credit or consumer credit. You see, the Indonesian government bond is correlated to the Indonesia interest rate, the same thing, because it's decreasing over time. So if we see the right chart is the growth of the mortgage credit for the housing and apartment. The red line would be the apartment ownership, credit ownership, and then the blue and yellow is the housing credit. So you see the credit for the apartment owner is growing much faster than the housing. I think it is quite understandable that the consumer of the credit is in the middle up consumer, because the price of the apartment, of course, is a bit higher, or higher than the general housing complex for the low to middle income. So the growing of the mortgage, the decreasing interest rate, is the macro factor that drive the sector is growing quite rapidly in the last 12 months. So what's the sector profile? In this specific sector, the sector is an urban development on planning and development of the new city, small to large scale integrated development. They also build the retail malls, healthcare, hospital, maybe hotel, apartment, and other infrastructure, and also housing, offices, etc. So next we only concentrate for the big cap in detail, in their financial performance in detail. First, we see the Lippo Karawaci is being the largest company in asset value, is 25 or almost 25 trillion in asset. So like we explained before, the return on asset is too low, and then consider under par profitability, they are not able to utilize such a big asset to produce sufficient income. On the other hand, even though the top line, gross margin, and bottom line grew continuously, still not enough to produce, I mean, desirable income comparing to its asset. The next is the free cash flow also going down in the last quarter is the end of the 2012. Is it because the company having big development show in the increase in the capital expenditure, and then maybe there is some losses in the non-operating uh, items. So the next being the second largest in asset, Bumi Serbong Damai. It is a town's development in the suburb Jakarta. They developed a new city called Bumi Serbong Damai. You see, revenue is growing quite rapidly, especially in the last quarter, the Q1 2013. That follow also the gross margin and the net income also growing almost. It's double. Actually, it's double, more than double. So it is show a great expansion, the great profitability. Return on asset is in the last quarter growing from 9% in 2012, and then up to 30% in the last quarter, Q1 2013. Return equity also grew from 16 to 47% in the last quarter. Gross margin quite stabilized, and then increasing from average 63% to 80%. It's quite good performance, and then the debt equity is can be kept below 1. This is quite sophisticated operation, looking at the financial. So next, the third largest in asset, Bakriland Development. You see there is a red one, there is a valuation in the last quarter is 2012 Q2 and Q3. We don't have the latest information in the financial, the 2012 and 2013 Q4 and then Q1 for this year. We don't have it. They don't yet produce the financial report. So you see in the net income item, all the way in the 2012 they are running losses, quite big losses. Even though the top line, the gross margin is quite stable in the 46-47%, but the top line growth declining, I think more than 10%. And then we don't see the final quarter of 2012, but in the average is they are declining 21%, 5%, and 13% at the latest. So if we see the declining of the revenue, not so big enough that can produce the big losses. So big losses showing that operating income is above the average. When they make a profit, the operating income can be maintained in such amount, but when they're running losses, is even though it's a bigger than at the time they are making a profit. This is logically is a misoperation, mismanagement, because logically, if we running a profit, if we are making a profit, we should be able to maintain the operating cost level. But if we are running in trouble in operation, or even we making a losses, so the rationale is we should be able to reduce the operating cost, not the other way around. In this case, Bakriland Development, they are unable to reduce the operating cost even they increase the operating cost. Is the other way around. It's not normal in the management operation. This is considered a weak management. So next, that equity, even though is below 1 ratio, is considered low in the industry standard, or it is good, but you see, the number, it can be a good or the same as the industry standard, but why they are making say consecutive losses in the 2012, and then with I mean with a drop in the revenue, and then the under par performance. But why the debt equity is still good? Because they make a trick on the equity level. They play in the equity level by multiplying the number of shares as a result of rights issue, stock split, and etc. So the strategic, the focus on this strategy maybe can make investor see the company is still quite good, but actually it's misleading or trick the investor. So next, we see the Ciputra Development. It is also a group of property companies. You see the top line grew the same height as the gross revenue, and then earning after tax. They are growing in the uptrend and linear, especially in the last quarter, which is quarter 4 2012 and then Q1 2013. The growing is quite big, and then you will see another financial ratio, like that equity is below 1, and then gross margin maintained in the level of 48% or above. Profit margin can be maintained above the 20%. But still the return on asset is not good enough. Looking at the total asset is much bigger than the revenue they produce. This is not a good financial performance in terms of return on asset. I guess this is quite common in the property and urban development. Maybe the company management or the owner can think of something productive, how they make the number quite good and the return on asset is better. I think they can do in such a way that they divest some asset without sacrificing the ability to make profit. It is for the sake for the performance, because investor is looking for the performance. If a performance is low or below standard, I think the investor is unwilling to put a big amount of money to own the company. So next, Agung Podomoro Land. It is the most active uh, property development so far. You see the top line growth even slower than bottom line, but it's considered a good productivity. They don't need to fight or to race against the top line by sacrificing or ignoring the profitability and the bottom line. I think this is a good company. They don't sell the good in the cheap price, but they maintain the price level. So the risk is the growth of the top line is slower than the profitability. But at the end of the day, the profitability is the most important thing if we evaluate the company. Yeah, you see in the 2012, from the Q1 to Q4 respectively, you see the growth of the net income compared the year after in 2011 is running in a slower rate, but still above standard, above 20% growth is good. That equity for this, very active and then very expensive company, the ratio is more than 1%, but less than 1.5%, 1.5 in ratio, I think is acceptable, uh, having that expansion they make. So next is Alam Sutera Realty. Is again is a town city development. It is a smaller part or a smaller size compared to the SDE, even though they are located in the same area. But the Alam Sutera is consider the running the more luxurious residential area or commercial area. So you see the return on asset is quite okay, quite high. It's at 13% for the big scale, big cap companies, and then earning after tax is the biggest. There is the company again is quite expensive. They grow and they develop and utilize their assets so productively, so that equity ratio is above one ratio. It is acceptable because you see the return on asset is higher than the rest, showing that the company is able to utilize such asset to produce then a good profit. So next we check the latest or the smallest rank in asset. This is Summarecon Agung. You see the top line growing quite rapidly, but the net income grow much faster. It's almost double in the last quarter 2012. You see gross margin maintained above 40%, and then actually above 45%. Profit margin also above 20%, even though that equity is below 20 or above 1.5. Still consider, it is still acceptable in terms of the expansion they are making. So next, we would like to check what is their company stock valuation. So you see in this chart, in this list, you see the low and high and price. Low being the true value in the low band, high being the high value of the low band. True value meaning the number that we obtain by using stock valuation calculator based on the fundamental analysis. So we come up with such a number. We compare with the price. So we see in those lists, in the left list, the Bakri Land Development and then Modern Realty is both are having negative value. The worst is LT or Bakri Land Development. They have both negative value. The top is in terms of asset. Lipo Karawaci is keep increasing in value, and now the price is above the valuation, is considered overvalued. BSDE still have room for price increase. IPLN is Agung Podomoro also have a price for increase, but they have some risk. During a bearish time, if you see the lower band is 120 and the highest band is 610, which is still room to grow from the 40, for 1490, 490 in the market price at this moment. So if we sum up the CTRA, the Ciputra, yes, Ciputra Group, PKSL, and CTRS, another Ciputra, still have room for price increase. The rest of the list either overvalue or having risk at the bearish time. You see, if we check the the right list, consider the second line company, we see the Bekasi Fajar Industrial Estate, Gua Makassar, and then this Buana Cipta Bermai, and then Metropolitan Development is still undervalued, meaning there is a room growth for price, but the rest of the list is considered undervalued or already expensive. So we finish up for this today, this presentation today. So hope we see you next time. Thank you.